pasta. I am a carb girl. I love my pasta. Pasta is delicious. All the kinds of pasta. Pasta is all good. However, sometimes I cook pasta and think this is going to be a quick and easy meal, and it is. But by the time you've cooked the pasta in one pot, cooked the sauce in another pot, put it in the oven if you're doing a bake, you've used 3 pans, you've used this, you've used that, you've used that. I just want 1 pan pots. 1 pan or pot pasta. Something simple, something easy, where I can cook it all in 1 pan to save the washing up. If you have not been here before, I am Samantha. This is the channel Trying to Get By, because that's what we are trying to do. Just get by. We all know money is tight, especially at the moment. So if I can find ways of saving a bit of money here and there, whether it be only having to wash 1 pan instead of 3, or only having to use 1 burner instead of 2 or 3, or using the oven, that is what I am trying to do. So this is my 1 pan pot pasta video that I am doing so that I can save washing up, which, to be honest, Chris does. I cook, he washes up most of the time. So let's have a look at the first recipe. This recipe is going to use, and all the other recipes are going to use, up what is in our house. Now, normally the way I would do these videos is I would record my video content and then do my introduction, but this time I'm doing it the other way around. I am starting this video talking to you, and then I'm going to go into doing tonight's dish, and then over the next week or so I'm going to be making other pasta dishes in a 1 pot to save those extra pennies. Like I say, we're only going to use up stuff that I would normally have in. We are not buying extra things for these recipes. So let's have a look at what's for tonight's tea. So if you've watched this channel before, you know I have an enduring love of mushrooms. Mushrooms are great. Mushrooms are wonderful. So this dish is going to be a mushroom-based dish. We are going to go mushrooms, onions, garlic. We're going to put in some lasagna sheets, but I'm not going to use them in the traditional way to make lasagna. I'm going to snap them up and just chuck them in as mini pasta sheets. We're going to have some of my bouillon base to create the flavour, and I have got a little bit of Alpro left over, so I'm going to throw that in as well. And there might be something else going in there, depending on what the dish tastes like as we go through. So we're going to start off sweating down our onions and our garlic. So I've just put a little bit of spray oil in here using my spray, and then cook the onions off. If your onions start to look as if they're not cooking off as well, so I just kind of tend to add a little bit of water just to help the process. I don't want to add any more oil, so I just added a little bit of extra water. So they're getting a little bit translucent. Now I'm going to go in with the garlic. This is probably 3 cloves of garlic. That was 1 onion. About 3-4 cloves of garlic. Not chopped up, you know, through a garlic press. Just sliced up and then chopped up a little bit smaller. That's going to go in there. And then all I did with my mushrooms was just rip them into pieces. I couldn't be bothered slicing them. But this is quite nice because it gives them quite a chunky texture, which works really well. So we're going to go in with those, and we're going to cook these down for a little while. But I'm also going to add in, I've decided, a little bit of corn. This is just some corn pieces I had in the freezer. We've had them a little while, so they're starting to go a bit stuck together and icy. So I'm going to chuck these in. These will bring the temperature down a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm going to cook this for probably about 5 minutes without the lid on and without any extra water added, because the corn's going to add some water while it is defrosting. So that's going to go in there. So we are just going to give this a shake, and that's it. Leave it alone, let it do its thing. Just mix it around every now and again just to make sure that you're not getting any scorched parts. But don't forget, this little bit at the bottom is not burnt. This is flavour. So don't worry about that at all. As long as you're not getting it so it's sticking on the bottom and going black, you're all good. Right, we're sizzling, and you can see, look at that lovely colour at the bottom. That's fabulous. And I don't know if you can hear it, but the mushrooms are slightly squeaking as I'm moving them around. That's great. I'm going to add in some of my bouillon powder. If you've not got bouillon powder, just go for a stock cube. But I'll just use a really good one. I'm going in for a good tablespoon of that. So this has got like tomato skins in it, all sorts of, let me see if I can find it. No, I've not got the packaging left for this, but it should have in it things like cumin, coriander, tomato skins, onion powder, garlic powder, bay leaf, all sorts of other goody things in there. So we're going to go in with that. I'm just going to give that a quick mix round. There we go. And then, next thing, while just that's covering at the bottom, I'm just going to break up my lasagna sheets just into, I've got about 5 of them here, into, you know, bite-size-ish pieces. It all depends on how they snap. And then I'm going to go in with some boiling water, and we're going to pop the lid on. I'm just looking towards the door. Let me just show you quickly. See towards the door. See that old fella there? Hello, Archie. You come to see what's going on? Bless him. Look at this. Hello. This old fella is 15, arthritic legs, wound on his front leg, and has managed to get himself up off the living room floor to see where I am, because he doesn't like to be on his lonesome dove. He's such a good boy. You're going to go down, down, down. Go down, down, down. Oh, the effort. Oh. Let's get back on with this dinner and these pasta sheets that I've just managed to throw all over the place before everything burns on the bottom of the pan. There we go. Like I say, in now with hot water. It will hiss and spit. You will find that everything will go brown, but all that brown off the bottom will scrape up and give you lots and lots of lovely flavour. So let's spread that around. Make sure that the pasta has got enough water in there to make sure it cooks. I think I'm just going to go in with a tiny splash more, and then I'm going to pop the lid on, give it a shake, turn it down very slightly. I don't want it to bubble like a mad thing, because obviously with the lid on it will cook quicker. And we're just going to simmer this for approximately 8 to 10 minutes. So pasta is all cooked in here. The main thing I'll say about this is I noticed that the pasta has a tendency to, the sheets stick together. So part way through I did start to kind of pull them apart a little bit. But as you can see there, they're a bit sticky. So I'm not 100% sure what to do about that. Maybe break the pieces down a little bit smaller, spread them out a little bit more. Just keep an eye on them anyway. But they are cooked. The sauce is reduced. I'm going to add our Alpro cream to this just to zhuzh it up. This will just now mix in. It'll take a few seconds to cook through, or to warm up with the Alpro. There we go. Lovely, lovely. Right, let's give it a taste. So get a little bit of pasta, get a little bit of mushroom, get a little bit of corn. So there we go, proper bite. Let's have a taste. Mmm. A little bit of salt. To be honest, if you wanted to, you could probably get away with a little bit of tarragon. Tarragon would go really well with this. What that was really quite nice. Like I say, not a perfect go at this dish, but a definite first attempt. and still tasty. And that's our tea for tonight. Another one pot pasta meal. So we're going for a kind of sausagey thing today. Now I'm going to cook all 6 of these sausages, but we're not going to use all 6 of the sausages. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cook them off and then save some of them for Chris's sandwiches for tomorrow. So we're going to fry those off, but we're also going to include some mushrooms, some onion, some red pepper, some tomato puree. We've got a little bit of garlic and herb cheese to go in there, which looks really quite nice. We've got our pasta. And we're obviously going to throw in some liquid. So we're going to go for just a basic stock using a stock cube. So the first thing first is I have got my lovely thick base pan that we're going to use. And we're just going to put a little bit of oil in the bottom of there. Get this up to a really nice heat and pop the sausages in. Now I find if your sausages start to catch a little bit on the bottom, don't worry about it. That is absolutely fine. All I do is I put a little squirt of water in and it just kind of releases it off. And this is all flavour, so I'm not too worried about that. So in there I'm going to throw in my peppers and my onions and a couple of mushrooms snuck in there because they're on the same thing. I've also found some garlic as well that I'm going to put in. But I'm just going to give these a couple of minutes just to soften very slightly. Now, you want them to soften a little bit more. You don't necessarily want them to caramelise. We just want them nice and soft. So if you put in a little bit of extra water and pop the lid on, they will soften really nicely. If you want them to brown and caramelise, keep the lid off and focus more on just keeping them moving so that they're not going to stick too much on the bottom. But we're going to soften those down and I'm going to pop the lid on. Right, I'm going to pop in my garlic and mushrooms next. And I didn't bother chopping my mushrooms, I just kind of broke them into pieces so that they're a bit more chunky along the lines of the sausage, which I have also chopped up into pieces. Now if you were doing just the sausages for the pasta, you could have chopped this up beforehand and just chucked this in to save a little bit of time. But like I say, because I was doing some extra sausages for Chris's lunch for tomorrow, I did them whole. So just going to give this a mix. I'm going to leave the lid off for this section because I want the mushrooms to saute a little bit more and hopefully go a little bit brown. Right, at this point I'm going to add some tomato puree, so that's probably a good tablespoon. Going to give this a mix. Cook off your tomato puree for a couple of minutes. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, after the couple of minutes of cooking the tomato puree off, I'm going to put my sausage back in. And then if you are not ready to serve, this is a perfect time to stop, because the next step is adding the pasta. And so if you're not ready to have your pasta done, great, stop, leave it, put the lid on, just leave it alone, and then you can come back to it, because when you do your pasta, the heating up of your pasta will be what heats up everything else back up again. And if you're using vegetarian sausage like me, it will be absolutely fine. And to be honest, if you're using meat sausage, as long as you get it up to, well, the official temperature is 65, but I'd say if you get it above 75 degrees C, then you are absolutely good to go for a reheat. So I'm going to pop my sausage in now. I'm going to turn my heat off and I'm going to wait for Chris to get home and have had a shower. Chris is home and he's jumped in the shower, so I know I've now got enough time to finish this off. So I've just popped the heat back on. It's starting to sizzle, so we're getting that back up there. That is just a general stock cube. I'm going to then go in with the pasta. This is going to make more than enough for 2 of us. So this can either be my lunch or somebody's lunch. So I'm going in with a good few handfuls of pasta. Now, this is the bit that you've got to judge, is how much water do you need. So squash your pasta down a little bit. And you kind of want to cover it. I'm going to pour it over this so that I don't waste any of that on there. So it's not like when you cook your pasta normally. If you're cooking pasta in a normal pan, just pasta on its own, you want enough water. I mean, they do say, I have heard 100 grams of pasta for every litre of, you know, and then you use a litre of water. But that is just absolutely loads. So we want kind of enough to cover it, but also so we don't end up with too much sauce, too much liquid at the end. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pop the lid on. So it's, I'd say it's just covered everything. I'm going to pop the lid on, but I'm going to leave a slight gap for a bit of variation. And I will keep an eye on it. I'm going to keep the kettle next to me just to make sure. I'm going to give that, now what's my pasta say? You see, it says in here, for 1 litre of pasta, 100 grams. Sorry, I don't know if you can see it there. See? In a large pan of water, 1 litre for 100 grams of pasta. Add salt, simmer and stir. See? Now it says, for cooking time, see back of pack. Well, that's not helpful. We've got to search on here for the times it's going to take. I don't know. I can't see it. No. Right, I've undone it again. Let's have a good look. Somewhere. No. Well, I can't see how long. So I'm going to go 8 minutes and see how long it takes. See, whoop. I'm going to go 8 minutes and see where we're up to. At about the 4-minute mark, I took the lid off. And the thing you want to do is just get into the bottom and just make sure it's not sticking. We have lost quite a lot of that moisture. Pasta is fine. I have just tasted it. This is where we're going to go in with our plant cheese. But basically, it's like a Philadelphia with garlic and herbs. So this is one of the reasons why I didn't bother putting a load of herbs in, because the sausages are really flavourful as well. So I'm just going to go in with a blob of that. That's probably a tablespoon and a half. This container is a, if I can find it, 150 gram container. So I'm probably going to say that's about 50 grams. So we're going to go in with that. You don't have to do this. It will taste fine without, if you added a little bit of Italian seasoning or just some herbs that you've got. Going to go in, there we go. That's just going to add a little bit of a creamy element to it. And then just last of all, before I serve up, can I show you? If you saw a little while back, I got a basil plant that was really quite cheap, and nearly every stem died apart from this one stem that managed to survive and is doing really well. So I'm going to snip off with my fingernail some of this basil. I go for the big leaves. There we go. This keeps it nice and healthy. But that's doing really well. I'm really pleased with that. And I'm going to, on my board that is a little bit mucky now because obviously we've done all our chopping on it, I'm just going to do what we call a chiffonade. So basically you lay your leaves flat on there, roll it up, get your knife, which I've got like the biggest knife in the world for chopping this, but there we go, and then you just chop it up. And that's just going to add a nice little bit of freshness to our pasta. So take this over there, sprinkle that in, and we have got our lovely sausage pasta with enough left over for some lunch tomorrow, all chucked in the freezer. And let's just give that a little mix. Oh, that looks lovely. I'm actually going to turn the heat off now because that's just going to keep on cooking. So we have got that. That looks really nice. That's going to burn my head off because it's going to be so hot. Adding that makes a difference. So like I say, if you've got those herby cheeses, really, really good. So that's our next one pot pasta. We're going to be making a one pot pasta stroganoff. So mushroom stroganoff, because you know I love my mushrooms. So I've got some mushrooms in here already that have already been broken up. Now I couldn't be bothered slicing them, so all I've been doing lately is just kind of squishing them between my fingers and just breaking them into pieces. So that's that. We're going to go in with some onion. I'm just using this red onion up because that's what needs using. Got a bit of garlic down here. That's going to go in as well. And the main flavours are going to come from some chili powder, paprika, soy sauce, Dijon, a little bit of stock. We've got some cream that we're going to use. By the way, the chili packets are just from my stock of chili and different powders from if I've used the cheap noodles for something else, and I keep all the seasoning packets. So that's that. So the first thing we're going to do is chop our onion and prep our garlic and the rest of our mushrooms. I've got my onions cooking in a pan in the background. I just used a little bit of my spray oil. This is a good way of saving a little bit of money as well, because you can pour loads of oil in and not realise how much you're pouring in, but at least with the spray bottle you can limit how much you're using. Mushrooms, they're looking a little bit sad, but I did get them reduced. They were in the going out of date section at Tesco's, so I grabbed some from there. But they are absolutely fine, and because we're cooking them, it won't make any difference whatsoever. Garlic, just quick show you on how I do my garlic. I just basically smash it with the back of a knife, unpeel it. There you go, take the end off, and then just give it a good old whack, and then really just chop. And then if you do this trick, you can put, if you put a tiny little bit of salt on top of your garlic, this will be like an abrasive. And then if you just use the end of your knife and you're kind of going to squish and drag, squish and drag like that, you are making your own little paste of garlic. Dead easy. And then just use the side of your knife, scrape it up, and that's ready to go in. So I'm going to pop that in a minute once my mushrooms have been in. So just turn you around a little bit so you can see. There we go. Just trying to find the right spot on this oven to pop you. There we go. So I'm going to pop my mushrooms in. I'm going to cook these for about 10 minutes till they are nicely cooked down, and then I'm going to add the garlic and our other little bits. Mushrooms are cooked down nicely. I've thrown my garlic in there. You've got that nice little bit of fond on the bottom, which is all the flavour, and we're going to go in now with about a tablespoon of soy sauce. We're going to go in with a teaspoon of Dijon, a heaping teaspoon of that. Some, now traditionally it would be normal paprika. I'm going in with smoked because I just like the flavour, so about a teaspoon of smoked paprika. However much chilli is in one of these little packets, which is not very much, but if you've watched before, you know Chris is not a big fan of spice, so this is probably a 1/4 teaspoon of chilli. And we're just going to give that a little mix. Then we're going to add, oh, that smells lovely. We are going to add our pasta. That's enough for one, enough for two, and if you know me, there's enough for leftovers. This is about 500 mils of stock, so I'll get that mixing in. Hopefully this should just about cover the pasta. That was a good guess. So tuck that in. bring it to the boil, and then we're going to put that on a simmer. So I'm going to crank up the heat. I'm going to put the lid on to help. Bring it back up to the boil, and then we're going to simmer it until the pasta's cooked, which should be about 10-12 minutes with this particular pasta. So I brought this to a boil with the lid on, took it down to a simmer, and then cooked it with the lid like at that angle. Just keep an eye on it though, because you want to make sure water levels don't drop too much. You want to still have it so it's saucy, but not watery. And keeping that lid on means that the steam will help cook the pasta through as well. So that is done. But what we're going to add now, just to make it super uber rich, is some cream. So this is about 4 tablespoons of cream. Just mix that through. Just let it warm as well. That adds a little bit of extra sauce. So if you have lost quite a lot of liquid, your cream will add a little bit of extra sauce. If you've not got cream, you can use coconut milk, the canned stuff, not the carton of coconut. Use the canned stuff. If you're in the UK, get it from Lidl. Excuse me. The one at Lidl has got such a high coconut content on it compared to others. Watch out, don't be getting coconut milk that's only 50% coconut. You want it to be at least over 80%. That is the better flavour. So let's go in here before I start coughing and choking again and try this. Oh, this looks so nice. If you think you've got a lot of mushrooms, you've not. Use more mushrooms than you think you're going to need, because they will shrink quite a lot. So just be aware of that. I'm going to go in with this. This looks delicious. Oh. Wow, even with the cream going through there, it's still really hot. Hotter than I expected. Really tasty. I'm not adding any salt because obviously I used salt when I was grinding up my garlic, so that's in there. That is delicious. So that is the final 1 pot pasta recipe. So tasty. I think the best thing about 1 pot pasta recipes is the lack of washing up. That one pan to sort everything out. I'm not sure how pasta would cook if your sauce is a much thicker sauce. Now, I obviously had trouble with my first one when I did my lasagna sheets because of how they went in and they're sticking together. And I did ask when I was filming that about how I could do it a bit better, but I watched, if you've ever seen Marion Graysby, she was a MasterChef Australia contestant. She does some great videos on Facebook. She did it, so she had the pan and just kind of slotted the pasta sheets in at an angle so it looked a bit like a porcupine. And that seemed to work really well, because once you put the lid on, then the steam cooked the pasta that wasn't completely submerged, and then you could also push it in a bit further as the pasta cooked. So that was something that I learned over this past couple of weeks while making these recipes. I hope you enjoyed this video. I am pleased to announce, yay! We have made it to the 1,000 subscribers. Yay! I did not realise this until I looked in a bit more about doing this, how many subscribers you get. Less than 10% of people who have got a YouTube account who make videos get over 1,000 subscribers. Wow, I thought it'd be much more than that. And so I am so grateful to all of you who have subscribed. You have really made this past 1.5 years of me making videos such a pleasure to do, and I really enjoy doing these. Sometimes it can be tricky to think of what to make for a video, but I'm just going to keep going on, making all sorts of different videos based on the things that I am doing, and I hope you enjoy them and continue to watch them. So thank you. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. We need to get even more subscribers, because the more subscribers the better. The more people who can comment and join in with our trying to get by family. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.